Picture this: Malawi, the warm heart of Africa, beating with circuits, satellites, and startups. A country once known mainly for tobacco and tea, now aiming to export something far more powerful: innovation. Welcome back to Global Pulse News, where we decode the headlines shaping the world's next big movers. And today, buckle up, because we're plugging straight into Malawi's 2030 tech vision, a blueprint so bold it could reboot an entire nation's destiny. Now, this isn't your usual policy paper gathering dust in a ministry drawer. Nope, this is a live wire roadmap that promises drones in the fields, AI in hospitals, coding in classrooms, and data at the heart of every decision. The question is, can Malawi really pull off a digital miracle in just 5 short years? Or is this another dream upload waiting to buffer forever? Stay locked in, because over the next few minutes, we'll peel back every layer of this electrifying plan. The promises, the pitfalls, and the power moves that could catapult Malawi into the tech stratosphere. Ready? Let's hit fact 1 and see what's actually powering this vision. All right, time to zoom in on the core of this revolution. Because let's face it, before you talk robots, apps, and AI, you need one thing: connection. And that's where Malawi's tech dream begins or ends. Right now, fewer than 2 in 10 Malawians have consistent access to the internet. Let that sink in. In an age where TikTok trends travel faster than news bulletins, large parts of Malawi still live offline. But the country's 2030 vision is gunning to change that, big time. The government's game plan is clear: expand broadband coverage, slash data costs, and make digital access as basic as clean water. It's not just talk. The National Fiber Backbone Project has already linked major cities like Lilongwe, Blantyre, and Mzuzu. Private telecoms are rolling out 4G, even 5G test zones, while rural communities are seeing pilot towers popping up through public-private partnerships. The dream? To make internet penetration jump to over 30% by 2030. That might sound modest, but in development terms, it's a leap worthy of Olympic applause. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Connectivity equals productivity. Every 10% bump in broadband penetration adds nearly 2% to GDP growth. In other words, every new tower isn't just a signal boost, it's a cash machine. Small businesses go online, farmers access real-time crop data, and schools stream lessons that once required a 10-mile walk to a chalkboard. But it's not all smooth surfing. The obstacles? Infrastructure costs, unstable electricity, and a rural digital divide that's wider than the Rift Valley. Many villages lack even the basic power grids to sustain these networks. To fix that, Malawi is embracing creative solutions: mini solar grids, satellite-backed Wi-Fi, and even drones delivering routers to unreachable communities. Yeah, routers by drone. The future really is landing from the sky. Then there's affordability. Right now, 1 gigabyte of data can swallow up to 10% of an average worker's income. To tackle that, regulators are negotiating with providers to cut tariffs and introduce data for education programs, giving students free access to learning platforms. What's smart about Malawi's approach is that it's blending policy with practicality, not just dropping buzzwords like digital transformation, but embedding tech into agriculture, education, and governance. And if, big if, the execution stays on track, Malawi could become a case study in how smaller nations leapfrog through innovation rather than crawl through evolution. So we've established the base layer, a nation wiring itself up for the future. But the question remains: once the cables are laid and the screens light up, who's going to power all this? Let's plug into the next chapter, because without energy, all this tech talk goes dark.
Okay, we've got the cables, the towers, the data dreams, but let's be real. None of that works without one thing: power. You can't run a data center on candlelight, and no amount of fiber optics will glow if the lights don't. Malawi's energy crisis isn't just a technical issue. It's the Achilles heel of its digital destiny. Right now, less than 20% of the population has access to electricity. In rural areas, that number drops to single digits. Picture entire districts where a smartphone is just a flashlight, not a gateway to opportunity. So, the 2030 vision's second big play is bold. Electrify half the nation within 5 years. That's not just a power goal, it's a social revolution. The plan is threefold: diversify energy sources, decentralize production, and democratize access. Translation: less reliance on hydropower, more on solar, mini-grids, and independent producers. The government's betting big on renewables. Solar farms are rising across Dedza, Salima, and Kota Kota. Private partnerships are fast-tracking off-grid projects, while microgrids powered by solar and battery storage are lighting up remote schools and clinics. Think of it as electricity by community, each grid small, smart, and locally managed. And here's where it gets clever. Energy tech isn't just about plugging in, it's about data-driven power distribution. Smart meters are being introduced to curb wastage, track demand, and keep the lights on longer. The ripple effect? Hospitals that can refrigerate vaccines, small factories that can finally operate past sunset, and digital hubs that can run without diesel fumes choking the air. But before we start cheering, let's face some volts of reality. Infrastructure takes money, and Malawi's wallet is thin. Public debt is high, and every kwacha spent on generation is one less for health, education, or roads. The success of this energy revolution hinges on partnerships: foreign investors, private innovators, and yes, international donors. Meanwhile, climate volatility adds another twist. Droughts cut hydropower output, floods wash away transmission lines. It's a balancing act between resilience and risk. That's why the new strategy emphasizes not just expansion, but adaptation. Building solar networks that can survive storms and grid systems flexible enough to evolve with demand. And here's the part often missed. Powering Malawi isn't just about electricity, it's about empowerment. Reliable power means reliable growth. It fuels everything from telemedicine to AI-driven agriculture. Without it, Malawi's tech vision stays just that, a vision. So, lights are flickering on across the map, but here's the question. Once power flows and connectivity spreads, who's going to use all this tech and how? Because technology without skills are just expensive toys. Let's move to the next current in Malawi's transformation, the rise of a digital generation ready to code its own future. All right, the lights are on, the networks are humming, but here's the real test. What happens when the people finally log in? Because technology isn't the hero of this story. Malawi's youth are. 70% of the population is under 35. That's not just a statistic. That's an army of digital dreamers, app builders, and innovators waiting to plug in. The 2030 vision recognizes this golden demographic advantage and makes one thing clear. The future won't be imported. It'll be homegrown. Across the country, universities are weaving coding, robotics, and data analytics into their programs. Secondary schools are setting up digital clubs where students tinker with drones, experiment with AI models, and build apps that actually solve local problems. From crop tracking to village cleanups, it's grassroots innovation, the kind that turns raw talent into real impact. The government, with support from global partners, is pushing national digital literacy drives. Think tablets in classrooms, mobile ICT buses for rural kids, and e-learning platforms broadcasting lessons in Chichewa and English. The idea? Close the gap between those who consume technology and those who create it. But building a digital nation isn't just about hard skills. It's about mindset. That's why the 2030 vision emphasizes something rarely discussed in policy circles: attitude transformation. In a country where unemployment still looms and tradition runs deep, embracing innovation means embracing change, a mindset shift from survival to creation. And here's where Malawi might just have an edge. Its youth aren't weighed down by legacy systems. They're starting from scratch. No obsolete factories, no bureaucratic monopolies, just open digital space waiting to be filled. Local startups like M-Hub and Tha Foundation are already incubating the next generation of techpreneurs, showing that creativity can thrive even in resource-scarce settings. Still, challenges bite. Brain drain is real. Skilled graduates often look abroad for better pay and stable power. And while mobile literacy is growing, high-level ICT training remains limited to a few urban centers. The result? A lopsided skill map. Bright minds concentrated in cities, while rural areas risk being left behind. That's why experts argue Malawi's next move should be a digital decentralization. Build regional innovation hubs, offer incentives to tech graduates who teach in rural schools, foster mentorship programs that link seasoned developers with village youth. Because when you think about it, a country's greatest algorithm isn't written in code, it's written in people. And Malawi's people are the real processor driving this 2030 vision. Now, the foundation's built: connectivity, power, people. But what about the ecosystem? Where do startups, policies, and industries meet to create momentum? Stay tuned, because the next wave of Malawi's transformation dives into its growing digital economy and the bold innovation engine revving beneath the surface.
Now that Malawi's building its people power, let's talk about the engine that'll drive all that energy: the digital economy. Because no matter how skilled your workforce is, you need somewhere for those skills to go. And that's exactly what the 2030 vision is trying to build: an economy where innovation doesn't just survive, it scales. Picture this: local farmers using drone data to monitor soil health, fintech platforms letting villagers make mobile payments in seconds, AI chatbots diagnosing malaria symptoms in remote clinics, and e-government portals cutting out endless lines for paperwork. That's not a sci-fi trailer. That's the ecosystem Malawi is wiring up right now. The government's Digital Malawi project, co-funded by the World Bank, is rolling out over 2,000 kilometers of fiber optic backbone while training thousands in ICT. Add to that a cybersecurity policy, e-payment legislation, and an emerging startup network supported by organizations like UNDP, and you've got a foundation built for digital commerce. But here's the kicker: Malawi's secret weapon might be its startups. These are small but fierce teams of coders, engineers, and problem solvers taking on big national headaches. From solar-powered irrigation sensors to mobile education apps, local innovators are doing what bureaucracy often can't: moving fast. And they're not alone. International investors are finally paying attention, seeing opportunity where others saw limitation. Private-public partnerships are the new power couples here. Government frameworks meeting entrepreneurial fire. Innovation hubs in Lilongwe and Blantyre are starting to look like Silicon Valley on a budget. Laptops instead of Teslas, sure, but the ambition, it's massive. Still, every revolution has its reality check. Malawi's startup scene faces a harsh funding climate. Venture capital is scarce. Regulations can lag behind innovation, and success stories are still too few to create national momentum. But the good news? The framework is in place. The Digital Economy Strategy 2024 to 2030 outlines tax incentives, startup accelerators, and open data policies to turn ideas into income. And when you look at the bigger picture, it's clear. Connectivity built the bridge. Energy lit the path. Youth brought the movement. Now innovation is the engine that keeps the journey going. The pieces are aligning, but here's the million-kwacha question. Can Malawi hold its course when global winds shift? Because for every visionary roadmap, there's a risk of derailment, corruption, mismanagement, political instability. The blueprint is solid, but execution will define everything. This decade isn't just about technology. It's about trust in governance, in leadership, and in people's ability to demand results. And that brings us to now, the heart of the analysis. So let's step back for a second. Is Malawi's 2030 tech vision realistic or just a digital daydream? Honestly, it's both. The ambition is undeniable, the strategy solid, the energy
off the charts. But the clock is ticking, and 2030 isn't far away. Execution is everything. Without consistent investment, transparent governance, and real accountability, this bold future risks becoming another PowerPoint fantasy. Yet I'll tell you this, there's something different this time. This isn't a top-down vision written for donors. It's increasingly bottom-up, powered by Malawians who are done waiting for permission to innovate. The youth are restless, creative, connected, and they're pushing the country forward faster than policy can catch up. That's the real revolution. So where does that leave us? At a crossroads between potential and proof. And that's where you come in. If you've made it this far, here's your challenge. Don't just watch Malawi's future unfold. Be part of the conversation. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What's the single biggest move Malawi must make before 2030 to truly lead Africa's next tech wave? Energy, education, innovation? And if you love stories where nations rise on bold ideas and fearless people, hit that subscribe button, smash the bell, and join the GlobalPulseNewz community. We break the noise, decode the news, and deliver what others miss. Because this isn't just about Malawi's 2030 vision. It's about a continent rewriting its code, one nation at a time. And trust me, you'll want to be here when the next chapter loads. This is Belong with GlobalPulseNewz. Stay informed, stay inspired, and as always, stay ahead of the pulse.